Welcome to Thank You for Your Reply, where we dive deep into the strategies and insights of real estate's most innovative professionals. I'm your host, Rich Peterson. Each episode, we explore the real practices driving success in today's market. No fluff, no pitches, just real conversations with real experts sharing real results. Today's episode introduces a spin-off series called PropTech Pioneers, where we speak to a founder of a company that's innovating in the property technology space. These episodes are a little shorter and are more tech-focused. In this debut episode of the series, we are joined by my good friend Alex Van Slyke, a real estate property photographer in Astoria, Oregon. He shares a bit about how he got started, as well as the tools he uses in his photography business. Before we dive in, please make sure you like and subscribe. Your engagement helps keep the show running. Without further ado, here we go. Hello, everybody. We're here with Alex Van Slyke. This is Thank You for Your Reply spin-off episode called PropTech Pioneers. And Alex's career in doing property photography and some of the tools he uses for that. So thank you for joining us, Alex.
Absolutely. Thanks for having
me. Before we jump into our questions, can you talk a little bit about how you got started in your career in real estate in general? And I know you started on mortgages, and how you got into property photography. And
Yeah, absolutely. I actually I'd say it started when I was working at a bank just as a teller. I'd be working the window and people would be driving up making deposits, and there was this one gal that came in pretty consistently. She ended up being a realtor, and she'd just be depositing these checks for $5,000, $8,000, $12,000. I'm like, what the heck does she do? And so I dig up, looking at her profile and see that she is indeed a realtor. It's like, okay, well, I want to be making good money myself. What advantages do I have within this industry to be able to make moves towards that? And there wasn't anything in the banking world as far as real estate goes, except for the mortgage branch of it. So it's like, okay, maybe I'll start digging into that. And eventually I leave the bank, go work for a mortgage broker and start digging into becoming a licensed professional there and get my license, all that fun stuff. And I'm trying to figure out what kind of things I can do to provide value for realtors, being able to establish good relationships with them. And one of the things I had in my back pocket was I had experience with a tool called a Matterport, basically scanning properties and creating 3D virtual walkthrough tours. So I would offer, it's like, hey, this is something I do on the side. Let's work mortgages together with your clients. I'll help your listings with Matterport tours as well. And after a couple months of that, one of the realtors asked me if I was able to do photography as well. And from what I knew from the machine, it was able to capture 4K high quality photos from the scans. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I make no promises, but why not? And looking back on the projects that I did for photography, they weren't great. The quality was fine, but the skill that I would apply now, I wouldn't submit that as a project, but it got the job done. And then from there, it was basically just picking up traction on getting more clients doing better work. And then one gal who's a high performing realtor in the area said, I really like the work that you're doing. I just think that you need maybe to tweak the gear that you're using. Let me get you connected with my photographer. And then when he transitions into retirement, then you can be my main guy. So I met with him. He basically gave me a breakdown list of all of his gear that he uses. I was able to integrate my technology using the Matterport into what I do as well. And now I'm probably one of the top 4 or 5 photographers out here in real estate in the county.
I know you also do a little bit of drone stuff too, right?
Yep. I'll do still photography on the ground. I've got the drone up in the air as well. That's been my favorite upgrade. That's my favorite part of the job, actually. I've got the 3D virtual tour. I've got the big camera. I've got the little camera. I can make schematic floor plans from that. And then I've more recently started doing more video walkthroughs, sizzle reels, just 1 to 3 minute videos on property itself.
Then, for those who aren't familiar with the Matterport, can you say what that, explain what that system is?
Yeah. So their main camera uses essentially LiDAR to be able to measure a room. So I set the camera up on a tripod, I go hide around a corner, and I press a button, and then it makes one full rotation, capturing the entire room. It'll make all the measurements. And from there, once I basically kind of go point by point, walking through an entire property, once I upload the project to the website, they transform it into a final design, and they can do everything from the 3D virtual walkthrough, the schematic 2D floor plans. There's even capabilities to use, I haven't used the service, but somehow integrating CAD measurements into it, being able to create a virtual twin, digital twin. So like a 3D rendition that has it's like 98% accuracy as far as measurements go. There's a lot of applications for residential real estate, but I think they're starting to lean towards more commercial real estate. That's a bit out of my realm, but there's a lot of tools that it sounds like that they have that would benefit above and beyond what I'm even using it for.
So it's like you're a radiologist at the dentist office.
I'm a small fish in a big pool.
Yeah. To set up the camera, hide to the other room, push the button.
Yeah. It's basically just playing hide and seek. I'll bring my kids along on a project every once in a while. One of them will be hiding at the base of the tripod under it, and the other one will be hiding around the corner with me, or we'll literally just be walking behind the camera as it's turning. Well, probably once every other project, I'll catch myself in a reflection. Like I'll be going through the walkthrough. I was like, oh, there's a mirror. Oh, there's me staring down at my phone in the mirror.
In comes Photoshop or some other photo editing tool to get those out of there.
Yeah, what's really cool is that it basically creates a raw image. It looks distorted when you're looking at it, but essentially you could remove objects, you could virtually stage it. Anything that you can do on Photoshop to a still image, you can import that into the virtual tour. So if I happen to be just standing right there in a reflection, then I can airbrush myself out, re-upload it, and it's as if I'm not even.
And that's all within Matterport, like their platform? Or is it
the photo editing you'd want to use Photoshop for, but you're from their platform, you would basically be able to download the images individually, and then you do with as you will.
We'll set the stage there. Let me jump into our questions. First question is, what was the specific kind of pain point in the real estate industry that sparked I think you kind of already answered this, but you go a little more in depth on it. Like, what was the pain point in the industry that sparked your idea for going into this line of work, and how did your personal experience influence the development?
Yeah. When I was doing property management for a short-term rental, I basically did the Matterport tours for about 70 properties in my area. So I got very familiar with the camera, and I just thought it was interesting as heck. So when I started doing the mortgage industry and reaching out to realtors, I noticed that none of the listings out here for homes for sale had anything 3D tour wise. I don't think the Zillow tours were available yet, but nobody had Matterport. There was one guy who was a realtor that had his own camera. So he was doing it for his own properties, but he wasn't advertising his services for sale for anybody else. So it was really easy just to say, hey, here's a service I provide. If this is something that you'd be interested in exploring, then let's take a look at how this could work for your listings. And I've seen a couple people pick it up then, but a couple of the other photographers that are more old school aren't interested in it. But I'd say it's probably about 60-40 about the amount of realtors that actually like Matterport. It's, I think for a younger tech savvy generation, it's a nice addition, but there is times where I'm going through a tour myself and I just start to get a bit motion sick. It's almost like information overload in a sense, but there's so much to be gleaned from doing a virtual walkthrough that just photography or even a video can't show. I think it's an extremely helpful tool that a lot of people are happy to utilize.
Yeah, especially nowadays when I feel like there's probably more people that are seeing houses from afar, that aren't in an area they're intending to move there, so they're doing walkthroughs virtually. I think it's obviously feeling more and more important nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, even just a simple floor plan, being able to look at just that 2D black and white, like here's the layout, here's the rooms, here's the dimensions, that's where the garage is. I love that. That's probably my second favorite part. Simple. I don't get it, but I love it.
Is it Matterport also? I've seen pictures where it looks like it's like a floor plan, but it's it's almost like you cut the roof off of the house and you're looking down from the top.
Yeah, you can do both. With the Matterport 3D dollhouse view, you can literally have just the image of the house and turn it in just about any direction that you want. And from there, you can also look like a bird's eye view straight down. That one isn't as pretty or as clean as just having that black and white, like here's the walls, here's the floor plan, here's the dimensions. Again, a bit of that information overload, but I think that's one very specific aspect of the 3D dollhouse view that is not as pleasant as just having the additional floor plan.
Can you walk us through a real world example of how the various tools that you use transform a typical real estate process, and then what kind of results your clients are seeing?
Yeah. Just kind of like a rundown of everything that I do for a listing that may help. Is that kind of the question?
Yeah.
So yeah, typically what you're going to see is when a realtor is going to list a house for sale, I think the most obvious form is just photography. No one's going to be really seriously interested in a house if they have no idea, one, where it's located, and two, what it even looks like. It gives a good idea of obviously the quality of the inside, general layout, and the feel of the property and the surrounding area. Having drone photography is a fantastic touch, especially when you're somewhere that's close to a feature, whether it be mountains, rivers. I myself am right next to the Pacific Ocean, so almost every time I get the drone up in the air, I've got something. I've got the Columbia River as well. So being able to create kind of that, wow, that's cool with photography or the video as well is a huge highlight to be able to help a listing agent advertise a home and hopefully find a buyer much sooner than later. The 3D virtual tours, like you were saying, is great for showing off the entirety of a home when you're not available to do a walkthrough. I mean, maybe you are local, but you're not feeling well, or you want to make sure that you're keeping yourself in a safe environment. Then you can literally step foot inside the home through your computer, through your phone, be able to tour it. And then the videos are fun too. I've been hesitant on doing those for a long time, but the more that I'm doing, the more that I'm producing. I mean, it's a really good quality video, being able to, I think, just engage prospective buyers on just that much more of a deeper level, showcasing more of a lifestyle instead of just the property, kind of the overall feel that I think music plays a big part of it, as well as engaging different cinematic views, angle styles, directions. A lot of the higher end homes will utilize video just because they're wanting to try and maximize their funnel and bringing people to actually look at the house. I think those are
Selling the
really my main
lifestyle,
services.
selling the lifestyle, not the property.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of everything, especially when you're out here at the beach. The last project I did, she said, keep it around 1 minute, maybe a minute and a half, and then I'll be able to use probably the first third of it for like drone ocean view shots. I mean, it was right off the coast entrance. And how do you showcase the lifestyle of a property without like really focusing on the location and the water and all that? It's like, okay, now I put the intro of my video and I'm 30 seconds in and I've not even gotten into the house yet. It's like, okay, now I got to scramble, put everything together and then end it on the beach as well. Now it's a fun little balancing act trying to showcase lifestyle within like a 1 minute sizzle reel, but you work with what you got and people are usually pretty darn happy with them.
Have you ever found yourself getting, when you're on a location to do a shoot and find yourself like have some sort of creative idea of like a shot that's like starts outside and then the door opens and the drone flies in, and kind of some of those like super stylized ones you see sometimes?
I don't mess with that too much. My general project layout is I just get a bunch of different shots. I know the general shots that I do want, but then when I am up in the air or I'm in the building, I kind of just I wing it, but I've got enough experience that every single time that there's so much footage that I can work with, it's really easy to put together a real finalized video. Probably like 25% of the time I get an accidental shot that turns out to be just amazing. But being able to create a transition, something that looks unique within the video, it can be a very key component of the video, whether you're transitioning from outside to in or from room to room, being able to highlight key features. I personally don't like capturing the video of the faucet running with water, but there's stuff within a property that maybe a general overview won't catch. I wing it and then put it together. There's a lot you can do with editing to make videos look good.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah. I'm always sweating bullets when I'm on the ground, literally just trying to make it go as fast as possible, but make it clean. And then by the time I get home and shower and start editing, it's like, okay, all right, now I can relax. I know this is going to take several hours, but at least I can do it on my time. I don't have someone trying to get into the house and it's like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? This is taking longer than I thought. I mean, I don't have to do this if you don't want me to.
I'm just helping you sell your house.
Yeah. Whatever.
Looking at the intersection of AI and real estate, I don't know if the stuff that you're doing, I'm sure it has some AI tech, at least for what you described so far. What technological barriers did you have to overcome, and what unexpected challenges emerged during that process?
I might ramble and forget the two parts of the question, but I think not knowing the challenges I had was not knowing how to use. I knew nothing about photography going into it. I've got zero background in photography. I liked video when I was a kid, and I'd put together little videos like that, but I didn't know anything about HDR photography. I mean, I've got this camera now, and I'm probably one of the photographers that know the least about my equipment. Not something I brag about, but technology is user friendly enough that it's pretty easy to get in. I think one of the barriers is financially. I mean, if you're going to get brand new gear, you're going to be spending thousands of dollars. But being able to, YouTube Academy, like, how do I use this? How do I do that? And even with AI, you can ask them a pretty obscure question and they'll give you a lot of answers for that. I mean, technology has been making my job within my industry a lot easier and easier, but I do foresee it getting to a point where most photographers can be replaced with technology completely. One of the things that I think will keep me in the game longer than most is understanding that my job isn't photographer. It's almost just as much as a relationship builder as well. I might not be the best photographer, but I'm probably the photographer that is liked the most, trusted the most, and people know that I'm willing to go above and beyond. I think that's an aspect that no matter what industry, if you're a human being, if you have those three qualities, you're going to be able to do whatever you want, ideally do it well. But I see technology getting to a point where a realtor could somehow do a walkthrough with a video and maybe just basic camera, and then AI being able to completely regenerate based off of what it captures to create that. Now, the realtor is going to probably spend money for that process, and it's going to take time and effort from either them or their team members to be able to capture that. But I think there's so much to be said. Is like, I like working with this person. I want to support them. They're doing a really good job. And yes, I could probably save myself $100, $200 a project by using technology to outsource. And it might, at some point, that may be the case completely. But I think the people that are in the industry that last the longest are going to be the ones that are doing a good job and making good relationships. That human aspect.
Yeah, that's been sort of a running theme of the 3-4 interviews I've done so far in this podcast series. Is everyone has talked about the relationship building being one of the most important things for longevity and continued income and work, and so
Sure.
and then technology, just doing this podcast, for example, this platform Riverside FM is great. Like it will fix a lot of issues that you often see in streaming kind of video. And like right now, I'm using the outside for my primary lighting, and then I have this tiny little clip-on light over here to try to give myself a little bit of a key light, but just resisting trying to buy, having to buy other lights. But I think I need to do that. But luckily, this Riverside FM can fix some of the flaws. But
yeah, there's a lot you can do with minimal technology, but there's a lot to be said about how technology can really take things to the next level.
Yeah, can make or break it.
Yeah.
If you've tried doing like AI, have earlier versions of AI trying to generate a picture or anything with text in it, it's been sometimes quite poor outcome. But
yeah, entertaining to say the least.
Yes. Speaking of that, like, how do you see these platforms we talked about coexisting with or enhancing the human element of real estate transactions? Maybe redundant because we've sort of covered that, but
yeah, I think 80% of the work has been done, maybe even 90% of the work, as far as what we have and can foresee in the next few years as far as technology is going to be available. I think maybe access to virtual, putting a VR headset on and being able to tour a property that way. Pretty sure in a sense that is available through Matterport. I think having that, a cleaned up version of that is probably the direction that it's going. And then whatever innovation comes up next that most people haven't even thought of, that's probably what's knocking on the door.
Well, the one that comes to mind as far as sort of what the part of the process that you're in, or realtors are in with staging a home. I don't know if you've ever used any like the virtual staging kind of tools where AI basically puts furniture and stuff into the room. That part, having helped a couple of people stage a house, it could be backbreaking labor.
Yes. Yep. That's huge. I actually got to do my first AI staging for a client 2 weeks ago, and it was awesome. You upload the photography, you kind of give a general overview of the style of furniture, what you want in there, and within 24 to 48 hours, they'll do everything. I mean, you could spend tens of thousands of dollars on having staging equipment that is going to get beat up over time and possibly lose, not be of the style that's popular anymore. Or you can spend $20, $30 to have a picture staged, and you probably only need 3-4 of those per listing if the house is completely empty, if you even want to stage it. I think that is a huge advantage for someone who doesn't have the cost or doesn't have the financial needs or to basically have all the furniture, put it in, take it out, store it. I mean, that's something that Tia considered for a while, but again, those were the big barriers for that. Now anyone can have a home staged for just $100, no problem.
Speaking of technology, what emerging technologies or trends do you believe will significantly impact real estate tech in the next 2 or 3 years? And are you positioning yourself to kind of be able to take advantage of those?
I keep my eye out for what other people are doing, and there's really not much that I'm aware of that, like I off the top of my head, I couldn't give you a very broad specific of something that I'm not doing. I may not do it to the full extent of what others are, but I think, again, what's coming down the pipeline is we're one of those industries that very feasibly AI could replace. And being able to have open communication with realtors and coming to the tables that this is your project. I'm helping you. We are going to be a team on this. I am not going to get it perfect. I'm going to try and I'm going to do the best I can. But if I happen to mess up here or there or whatever, then please let me know. And I will do my darndest to make sure that your vision is fulfilled, not just for you, but for your client as well. I mean, this is a multi-person relationship transaction that affects lots of people. And I can't be sitting here as like, no, I did fine. Like, if you want that, that's unreasonable. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars to be able to do. I was like, oh, no, that's not how you're going to build relationships. Let's come to the table, just understands like, hey, things aren't going to be perfect. Let's make sure that we are able to make this complete the way that you want it. And being genuine and open and modest about it. That's my hedge against technology.
Yeah, building relationships. Yeah, once again.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing all that with us. I think are you heading off to their shoot today? So
Yeah, I've got 2. Yeah. It's like the first sunny day in a week. So everyone's like, hey, what's your schedule look like? Well, it's going to be raining. So we got the sunny day. Great. I'll take that. Okay. So having 3 photo shoots in a sunny day through the slow season's not terribly uncommon.
You got to keep your equipment staged and ready to wrap.
Yep. I got to make sure that I'm always charging my gear because now I've got 2 out of the 3 batteries fully charged and I think by the time I make my way back up north, everything will be good to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I need a better calendar system. That's what I need. I've got the technology, but I don't have it's like every time I get a free moment, it's like, okay, I've got my other projects I'm going to work on. I'm going to step outside the photography mindset for a minute.
You need a little virtual assistant or something.
Yeah, I reached out to the community college this last month, and they have basically an internship program. And I was busy enough last year that if I were to grow this year significantly more, I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. So I figured, let's try and create a win-win situation. Let's try out having essentially an employee as well as providing an opportunity for a local college student. And well, completed the paperwork. One of the emails I got back is like, we've never had anyone provide an opportunity in a photography film, but we're getting inquiries about it all the time. Well, I could see how people would be worried about training their competition in this industry. But again, that's where I'm hedging my bet is I do good work and I do build great relationships. So if you want to come into the industry, I'll support you for sure. Am I worried about you taking my clients? Not really. You might get one or two, but I'll probably bring another 3 or 4 in on that aspect. And I'm a firm believer of there's enough business out there and really whatever you want to do. And you're going to work with the people that you're meant to, and the people that you're not meant to work with. It's not about you being the best and them being terrible. It's just, it's a complicated environment that we live in as human beings. It's fine. Just move on and be happy and be thankful that they're in your lives for a short period of time or a long period of time. Hey, you're still alive and the sun's still going to shine tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Alex. That's a perfect note to end it on. Thank you so much for your time today, this morning, and ahead of your busy schedule on a sunny day. Really appreciate you setting aside the time to talk to me.
I didn't realize I could talk for 25, 30 minutes, so new learning opportunity for me.
That wraps up the first episode of PropTech Pioneers. A big thank you to Alex Van Slyke for taking time out of the start of a busy day of property shoots, a sunny day in Oregon, to speak with us. To our listeners, you can find show notes and links below this video, or if you're on audio, it'll be in the show description. If you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe so you'll be able to catch the new episodes when they drop. Until next time, keep innovating, keep growing, and remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. See you next time.